So what does it mean to be on your Grizzly? It means hard work, dedication, and it means progress. Be on your Grizzly. Hard work, dedication, and progress.
I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. And if you're busy making moves, say it with me. I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. And if you're busy making moves, say it with me.
Coming to you from the City of Angels, this is the Grizzly Podcast with Irvin Scott and Melissa Santos.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Grizzly Podcast. Today we are joined by a special guest. This man is everywhere right now. He's doing commercials for the Olympics. He's actually writing raps for Porky the Pig in Space Jam 2. He is a former member of the hip-hop group Living Legends. He's a current member of the hip-hop group Three Melancholy Gypsies. Ladies and gentlemen, our friend, hip-hop MC himself, MURS. Let's give it up. Yeah.
What's up?
Thank you, Irvin. Thank you, Melissa. How y'all doing?
Doing okay, man. How are you?
I'm all right. Gotta, right before nap time.
You're doing so much, but we deserve a nap time too, though. Especially you. You deserve a nap.
I wish we could get a freaking nap time.
I know.
As a parent, do you get a nap time?
I fell asleep on the couch, and when I woke up, I had a bunch of stuffed animals on my face. Oh my goodness. I actually felt, which is weird. That's how tired I was. But when your kids are sick, they keep you up. So yeah, usually you don't get a nap. So that's the first nap I've had in like 3 years.
Right. Did you get it? Did you get sick too or no?
Maybe I was like a little bit, but I don't know if that was just, when you don't sleep, like everything's just off. So I feel like a little nauseous, but she had a stomach bug. So she's finally better today, but it was like 4 days of fever and it was.
Yeah, see, that's the stomach bugs get me. I always like when they get it, I feel bad and I help them, but then I'm like, man, how long till I start puking?
So you get it. Yeah.
And that's the worst. I think there's a lot of annoying parts about being a parent, but there's only a bad part. That would be the only bad part. It's like,
when
fuck. I went through my whole 20s and 30s not puking and not, I was done with the flu, and now it's like, fuck, now I got to deal with the flu again.
Do your kids go to like daycare or school and everything like that? So.
Since the pandemic, they've kind of been like doing backyard. Like there's a backyard pod my 3-year-old goes to. Mm-hmm. And but it was me. I did my first like closed set COVID tested taping. They test you before you can even walk in the building. Mm-hmm. Everyone's masked up, and I came home with the flu. And I was like, so they owe me one. So like when they start regular school again, they bring home the flu. I'll be like, I'll take this one.
3 kids, right, MURS?
Yes, 3.
How old are they?
8, 3, and one will be 2 next month.
How's it feel raising kids right now during the pandemic?
It's weird, man. It's weird. I try not to freak out about it, but I think it's good because everyone's experiencing it. So everyone in their generation will have the same trauma. Where it was me, like I grew up in LA in the 80s and 90s, and it's like I started traveling and people like didn't understand gangbanging. They didn't understand crack. Like they didn't understand like a lot of things that I went through. And I'm like, at least this is a shared trauma. You know what I mean? Where I had to deal with my trauma other ways, and people were like, what do you mean? Or, didn't understand how to treat, they're all going to get through it together. There's a whole generation of children worldwide that are going to be able to deal with this together. So I'm not as scared as some parents are. I'm not worried if like today I was like, fuck, man, they're going to bring back the mask. And like some people are like, I'm pulling my kid out of school and I want him in a mask all day. And I'm like, and then I see the doctors posting like, well, kind of like we do surgeries for 10 hours every day in a mask and we're fine. And I'm like, yeah, they'll be okay. Like they wear a mask for a couple hours, they go outside and play. And for me, I'm like, as we talked about, like at least that when they wear the mask at school, I know they're not going to bring me the flu. So I'm like, fuck it.
We're all in this together. It's like a shared trauma that does make me feel better, but we're all going through it. So yeah.
Africans, Venezuelans, like Koreans, English, the British people, everyone. So I'm like,
everyone in the world is like sharing in this trauma. So it'll be something. Hopefully, it's something that we can go, wow, I can't believe you went through this, and like not have to deal with it ever again. It's probably not going to be anytime soon, but I know we'll eventually get there.
I'm sure you probably scored some points with the Space Jam 2 movie. You wrote some raps for Porky the Pig. I'm sure your kids probably saw the movie by now, right? And they were probably impressed. Do they know about that?
I don't think they give a shit. I don't
Oh no.
you know, I think it's I think it's like when the big thing that went viral with The Rock and his daughter. He was singing the Maui song for his daughter, and she's like, "Shut up, let Maui sing it. This is his song." And he's like, "I did the voice." She's like, "Shut up!" Like, I had to fall back, bro. You're not Maui. And for me, it's not even my voice. So to have I had to show my 8-year-old the video of the guy who does the voice giving me credit for writing the rap, because he's like, oh, he said it in the Porky Pig voice. Oh yeah, my man MURS wrote the rap. And then my son's like, oh shit, he said your name. I'm like, yeah, this is what I've been trying to explain to you.
It pretty much was you.
Yeah, I'm gonna take credit, even though they didn't give me writer's credit. I guess that's what ghostwriting is. You don't get credit. And we went back and forth during the negotiations about it. And I was like, fuck it. I just wanted to come out. You don't have to give me credits at the end of the film, which was weird. But I was like, And
so when you ghostwrite, is it kind of like when you write a script and then you sell it and then they can do whatever they want with it kind of thing? Or is there control somewhere?
No, I have no control.
Oh, got it.
They tried to play me like they weren't going to use it. We don't know if it's going to be in the movie at all. And then they used it in every commercial nationwide.
They knew it. They just downplayed it.
So because they didn't want to pay me and didn't give me a right. So I was like, all right, this is my first time in a movie and writing for a movie. So I was like, cool. And my kids will know, and their kids will know, and it's something. It was fun. That was one of the I did a song with John Cena a long time ago, and then he came and shot the video with me for free. And we're in South Central, and it's fucking bananas. People are John Cena. Like, kids are jumping out of bus windows. Like, all of South Central, my family's had a business there for 70 years, a dry cleaner. So we filmed it there. They're crackheads, 18th Streets, Bloods, Crips, everyone. And this is when he had the spinner watch with all the diamonds and the necklace, and he's not taking his jewelry off, signing everything. And then finally I'm like, yo, y'all gotta chill. Let the man move out, get out of here. He grabbed me and he was like, MURS, don't ever do that. I play fight for a living, bro. I don't give a fuck. This is, and it always gives me perspective. I have this job. It's great. Someone's giving me a shit ton of money, what some people make in a year to write a fucking rap for a pig, and they don't want to put my name on it. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? I can't, whenever I start to make a big deal about myself or contracts or whatever, I'm like, I wrote a rap for Porky Pig. It took me, my wife was in labor while they were asking for revisions, but that was a whole other thing. But other than that, it wasn't that. I've written 10,000 raps, literally, probably. So I was like, I can give one to Porky for a nice sum of money, and they can hide my name in the credits to protect Porky's my MC integrity. I don't know. That was my thing. When my argument with them was I could see if I was writing for Jay-Z, people would think of a certain thing. Or if I was writing for Drake, but it's everyone knows Porky Pig doesn't rap. If you tell them that I wrote the rap, who cares?
How did that whole process come about? Did they come to you? Did Warner Brothers come to you and say, hey man, we're looking for a rapper to do this rap for Porky the Pig? How did that whole process come about?
I'm a guy named Kier who put a song of mine in 21 Jump Street. And then he was working with another friend of mine, Archie Davis, who manages Dom Kennedy and multiple other visits. And he was like, yo, I was one of probably 10, 20 rappers. I don't know how many they picked to do this, but they're MURS is one of these guys that can, because my fault is that unlike a lot of rappers, I articulate. My mom was really, really strict on me about enunciating and articulating so people can understand. That's how I got the Olympics commercial. I did it for 2016, and then Xfinity was like, bring back the same rap guy, because you can understand what I'm saying and I can tell a story in a short amount of time. So with Space Jam or whatever, we know we can give MURS, they told me, they maybe signed an NDA and here's the story of the movie. This guy, Algae Rhythm, blah, blah, blah. It's halftime at the game. They're battling. Make all that happen in 20 seconds in a rap. And I'm like, gotcha.
Just being a part of something as special as the Olympics, how do you feel about that? What's your take on all this?
Man, I'm honored to represent hip hop at that level, because they could have got someone else, but people can't. When people see me do it, they're like, oh, great, good for him, because they know that I busted my ass. They know that I respect and love the culture. They know that I have real talent and skill. And so it brings a certain amount of integrity to that brand. And it shows that the people who are in power aren't as dumb as they used to be. In the 90s, they would get, let's get MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice for everything. You know what I mean? Now there's actual people who grew up on my music. And that's what I used to tell people, I may not go platinum, but my fans are going to grow up to be the executives, to be the people, because I make intelligent music for intelligent people. So while most of your friends might end up in jail and dead from following your lyrics, my fans are going to end up, and a lot of those fans reach back out. So when I go into these corporate meetings, they're like, oh man, I grew up on your shit. And I'm like, great. And they're like, here's a budget, now do this. And I'm like, great, And so it didn't pay me in platinum records, in the early 2000s when I was touring my ass off like some other rappers, but it's paying off now. And, it is something that my kids will be able to go to school and like, oh, my dad wrote that rap, or, oh, and then people in the community still respect me. I never had to sell out to feed my family.
Let's go back to how your hip hop career started. I know that you had formed the three Melancholy Gypsies with Eli and Scarab. You guys met in high school, right? That was over at Alexander Hamilton High School in LA.
Yeah, Hamilton High. Shout out to all the Yankees. I think like Shia LaBeouf, B2K, Nipsey. Like we got a Warren Moon. I think Walter Mosley, our crime fiction writer, went there. We have a lot of people. We met at school, a bunch of kids who didn't want to go to school and wanted to rap. And it's been a long. I think I told my friend, my son went to school the other day. And he finally made a friend. First day of camp, he didn't have a friend. Second day, he's like, oh, I just made a friend. His name is Eli. And I was like, oh, that's my friend. Like we rap together. He's like, how long? I was like, 28 years. He's like, what? You've been rapping with him? I was like, yeah, it's been one of my best friends for 28 years. And he texted me right when my son told me that. So it was like a magical moment of kismet in the car. And I was like, oh yeah, man. Like my friend Eli still texts me even right now. And you just made a friend named Eli today. Like people named Eli are good people. But yeah, we're just kids selling weed, smoking weed, ditching school, kicking raps. People told us, they didn't really believe much in what we were doing, but we're still here doing it.
So you formed the Living Legends in 1996, and you guys made music, and eventually you released your debut album For Real in 1997. Yes. What was that like, man, dropping your own album?
It was, I don't know, man. It's hard it wasn't a big deal. I'll tell you that. I was standing on the street corners trying to sell people tapes, man. It's like cassette tapes, like, hey, I rap, check it out, please. Here, $5, $7, $10. Just give me some money so I can eat. You know what I mean? And, it was all survival. I was still selling a little weed, selling a little music, selling a little weed, selling a little music. And eventually, I met more people and more people started hearing me. And then I got my first deal in Japan in 99. And from there, I used that money to put out my next album. And then from there, I met LP from Run the Jewels Company Flow. And he was like, yo, I want to put out your record like nationally. And that was the first time I was in Best Buy. It was like 2003. And then I met Ninth Wonder. Then it just kept, everything was building. My whole career has been building and building and building. And until I think after Warner Brothers, I was kind of like, I moved to Tucson. I was like, I had enough. I saw what happened in the inner politics of the industry. And I was just like, I can't do this.
The album that you dropped with Ninth Wonder, obviously you guys have made plenty of albums together, but the first album you dropped with him was MURS 316, the 9th edition. And that's actually a reference to your birthday. Is that true?
Yes, 316 is a reference. Definitely has wrestling roots, Austin 316 and biblical roots. I love Jesus, but it just was it was the thing, me. That was an era, like playing Nintendo 64 and watching Monday Night Raw and Nitro, and like me blowing my rap money. Like I got a fucking seat collection from multiple WWF events or WWE events. You know what I mean? Like SummerSlam. The first time they had Elimination Chamber, I had floor seats, and my ex-girlfriend, I made her watch wrestling. Like, so I was just like, I saw the merch, like we were just getting into merch, and we learned the merch game in underground rap kind of from the punk game, because rappers didn't have merch. Like there was no NWA merch. There was no fucking Dr. Dre, the Chronic national tour. Like we weren't allowed, rap wasn't allowed to tour. It was a liability. People got shot, quote unquote. Rap music was killing people. So we kind of snuck into these dive bars and clubs behind the punk people. And I was like, oh shit, what's a merch table? Or, I was learning that from the punk people. And then I said, oh shit, this is what they've been doing at wrestling for years. Let me incorporate some of what I see over here. Because I was like one of the few grown men, especially grown black men, that would admit that they watched wrestling at the time. You know what I mean? And on For Real, on my first album, 1997, like I'm referencing UWF wrestlers like Dr. Death Steve Williams, who's one of my favorite wrestlers. And like, I would meet wrestling fans through that. They'd be like, oh shit, like like, yeah, motherfucker, like people who were born in the 70s, like I'm born 78, like, we went through a break. Like when we found out it was staged, a lot of people quit and never came back. And I quit for a while. I was like, oh, fuck, they're fooling me. And then after a while, after I understood the mechanics, I was like, this is still fucking amazing. And the storylines are great. And fuck that. I like this. I don't give a fuck if Santa Claus is fake. Like, I believe, and that was what, when we all came back, that's what made the Attitude Era. Like, everyone coming back that was disenchanted. And then now my sons, I just tell them off the rip. And I think a lot of kids now just know from off the rip, like, this is staged, but it's great. You know what I mean? And it takes talent. It's like a dance and blah, blah, blah. So I just took all my merchandising, like from MURS 316. Like, I was like, cool, it's my birthday, Austin 316. Like, it looks good on a shirt, boom. And I had done multiple versions, but when I met Ninth, I was like, this is the perfect time to like brand this. And it ended up being my most respected album. And it was right before Ninth Wonder started producing for Jay-Z and Destiny's Child. And we were just two people, I guess, like you guys said, two people on there, Grizzly, that was, I didn't know him from Adam. I just liked his beats. And I was like, I'm coming to your house, bro. I'm coming to North Carolina because you keep giving away my beats. And we're going to record a whole album in 5 days. And we did the whole album in 5 days in the basement of a dentist's office in almost rural North Carolina. Wow. And and then we both kind of just continued to blossom from there. It was two people meeting at the right time. And, I guess, from two, as we were talking about factions and wrestling earlier, from people from two different factions. He was on the East Coast. I was on the West Coast.
Tag team.
Yeah, I hate that. I've been putting this out there lately. Tag team champions don't deserve world titles. Shawn Michaels with his thigh slap or whatever you want to call it, kick. Bret Hart and the fake Scorpion Deathlock, aka the sharpshooter, are not great heavyweight champions. They were there holding up the company in the lean times until Stone Cold and The Rock could come and take it to new heights. I don't care what you say. So I hate being called a tag team, but I'll be a tag team with Ninth Wonder. I'll fucking take it.
Okay, we'll call it a faction. No worries.
Take it back to the yes, we're a tag team. I hate being called part of a tag team, but I might be a better tag team. Soon I'm going to be like bringing my rap career to a kind of an end. And my family has had a dry cleaners in South Central for 71 years. And I'm going to just take it.
Years. Wow.
Yeah. So my mom won't retire for any amount of money. She'll retire if I take it over. So a lot of rappers and wrestlers or sports stars, celebrities buy their mom a house and she retires. My mom will not retire until I carry on the legacy. So I'm like, it's time. My boys are starting school. I can't be touring like I used to anymore. My homeboys are opening up a store, a brand called South Central America is opening. And so I'm going to be, in between there, helping them get started, and working at the cleaners, like I did when I was fucking a kid. So back to the cleaners and just back to our community, man.
I think that's important, right? Going back to your community and bringing something back and keeping something so positive alive. I feel like a lot of people who leave their community, they never come back, right? And they're just like, okay, I'm just gonna kick it over here forever, and like no, like what?
Yeah, like I don't
need you.
Yeah, I want to be there, and like success doesn't always look like a Bentley or a gold chain, and I was never into that. Like when I got my money, like I adopted my son, like that was a lot of money, you know what I mean? But I felt like these are the things that I've done with money, where I bought property. And so I'm not someone that can't walk down the streets. Like I'm, at this point, I'm in South Central twice a week. I live off of Crenshaw and Imperial. Like I'm in my neighborhood, I'm in my community, and I'm doing well, but I don't spend my money on a flashy car. So I don't have to worry about people robbing me. I don't carry a bunch of cash. Like I would say I'm not an asshole. Like, because I think it's like you have to be an asshole to show off that much wealth in a world where people are dying or starving or, poor. And it's okay for me when I hate to say it, but when white people do it, because maybe they've never seen poverty, but for you to come from that and then behave that way is like, it's unfathomable to me. I'm like, why would you? And I'm inspiring them to do that. I'm like, you're inspiring them to do whatever it takes to do what you've done and leave everybody behind. You know what I mean? Like LeBron James is the first Black celebrity to have a school that I know of, which is awesome. You know what I mean? And once again, you don't see LeBron James with the chains. Like, I don't even know what kind of car LeBron drives. I'm sure it's really nice. But when he's in an interview, he doesn't make that known. He doesn't have a gold. It's from something like rappers just kind of confuse me.
He's not flushing like money down the toilet or anything like that. I don't know if you guys saw that. I don't know what rapper it was, but he literally was flushing $100 bills down the toilet.
Yeah, that
I don't know where I saw it. It might have been like World Star. Like, I don't know. I was scrolling through the internet or through the social media, Instagram or something, and I could not. And people were actually defending it. Like, their minions were just like, well, whatever, that so-and-so can do whatever they want with their money. I'm like, but why would you? Like,
yeah, and I think
why?
that's the thing is, like, I have a shared trauma with these people, so I try not to judge them. I just say I can't fathom it. I can't understand it.
Like, what do you think that comes from? Like,
I mean,
being so
like,
disconnected.
if you're a black male who society doesn't respect you, your father was never there, you show off for other people because you want to be heard, you want to be seen. What can I do to be seen? Because black men and people of color in general in America are marginalized. You're not heard. Your voice isn't important. You know what I mean? So that's why they stand on top of foreign cars. They wear loud colors. They scream obscenities, anything, just like you have a child, like anything to be heard. You ignore a child, they're gonna, and I hate to equate us to children, but it's frustrating. You know what I mean? And how people deal with that frustration. Okay, they put money to their ear. They've thrown money on women. I'll flush my money down the toilet. Then everybody will look at me and I'll get the attention. And it works. So and like, you take attention in any form.
Clout thing, right? Like, or just like the attention, like the look at
And that's what hip hop is. Like, I know that people are downing clout chasers. I'm like, why else would you spray paint your name on a fucking train? Because you want clout. You want to be seen. Like, why would you put music in the park and blaze it through speakers? Because you want to be seen. Why would you spin on your head? Because you want to be seen. And kids in the Bronx, black and brown kids, weren't being seen. They weren't being heard. And all of that is just so when I see them flashing down the money, I'm like, it's different than riding on a train, and it's not as considered respected as much in hip hop, but it's the same symptom. And we got to start dealing with it. So I have to start acting different. And I can't down my brothers. I'll just say I can't understand it. And this is what I would do. And hopefully they see that. And that's why it's important for me to come back to the community. Like, I've been around the world. I've written raps for Porky Pig. I've done Olympics commercials, but I'm here dry cleaning your clothes because this is what's important, to honor my family and my legacy and honor my community. I'll clean the bus driver's clothes. I'll clean the police's clothes. I'll crease the khakis for the 18th Street homies that come in here and all the Treses and all the Bloods and Crips. I'll make sure your Dickies are starched, creased, whatever. You know, and my mom is the same person. Like, you need a bulletproof vest clean? Bring it through the back. Cool. You know, and she cleans the sheriff's department clothes too. Oh, you left some crack in your pocket? My mom will staple the crack to the ticket and be like, here you go. You left something in your pocket.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Like, that's crazy.
We are here to serve the community, and I want to keep that and expand it. You know, I want to expand our business because hopefully Warner Brothers will bring me some business, like, you know, or someone like, you know, Coachella or whoever, like the Clippers. And I'm in LA Galaxy. I'm in tune with a lot of people. Like, bring that. Like, cool. I know.
Your story is so good. I started just imagining like your story and your family's dry cleaning business in a type of like movie or a TV show. Like, as you're talking to me about it, I'm just like, oh, and I think this is where artists should be showcasing. So not just we're flushing. We understand that is just like a case. This is not everybody flushing money down the toilet. Again, it's a symptom of like a bigger issue that, you know, people like, you know, yourself who've grown up in that type of community can go back and just make a change, right? So I just imagined you like creating a story about that and having everybody watch that. So if the community is watching the possibilities that are outside of what you just spoke that can be negative, I think that's a beautiful thing. So I don't know, as like my creative, but that's just my mind. So I'm like, oh gosh, I would watch that show.
Trying to shop a show about it. Yeah, we've been trying to shop a show about it, and we'll see what what happens.
Maybe rewrite something about your family. You're so interesting, you know, and just a really interesting take. You're just doing your own thing. It sounds to me like you've always just kind of listened to the voice in your head and foundational upbringing. Like, you have, you know, your mom who clearly is a hustler. So you this hustle you saw, right? And not everybody gets to see that. And not everybody, you know, I know it's not easy to own a business, but not everybody gets to see our parents like going for what it is they want. I'm a child of immigrants. I'm the first generation here, family from Nicaragua. And so I watched my family just do whatever it took to do what they needed to do in order for me to be okay. Like, we were barely middle class, you know, they fought to live in a community that was mostly, there was Latinos, you know, we had Latinos, like scattered Blacks, like there's a lot of Asian and a lot of white people. Like, that's what like very Asian, like Filipinos, a lot of Filipinos and Koreans where I lived. So I saw like a mix of everything. Like, I had Korean gangsters, like there was like, you know, like the black gangs, like some of them Latino gangs. So it was weird. It's like a crazy mix, right? But I watched that. I watched my parents like through all that, still trying to make it, and like it was just so much, right? And I know that a lot of people don't see that, like, you know, it's the fact that you can maybe tell a story of how you're able to incorporate all those things and then show people how you can still come back to those communities that you struggled in and like make something of yourself and then keep inspiring your community. That's a big deal. Like there's more to show than just like, oh, look at me, I'm a rapper. Oh, look at me, I'm this, and I'm just doing crazy shit to get attention. Like you can get attention in different ways, and it's not always as loud, right? Like You're not loud about it. Like you grew up in this community, but you're not loud about it. You're like, I'm good. I got my money. I don't need to show you that I can buy a Rolex, even though I can buy a Rolex, but I'm not gonna, guys, I don't need that, right? So
yeah,
you got that from your mom. Like we need to get your mom on here.
Yeah, my mom, she's amazing. And I think that my grandfather's amazing. And I think that during the BLM thing, I pointed that out to some people. Like not everybody's all gangster and stuff, and not everybody's gonna be marching. You know what I mean? Like my grandfather, through the Watts Rebellion, kept his cleaners open. Like it's been in South Central through 2 uprisings, through the 92 and the Watts riots, and it never got burned down because we didn't have to post black business because people knew, you know, we're servants to the community. And I think that was revolutionary. He didn't pick up a gun. He didn't pick up a brick. He didn't go to jail. He didn't try to storm the Capitol, but him staying in his community and going to work every day was a revolutionary thing. And being on your Grizzly is for a person of color in America, you know, whether you're an immigrant or a black person, it's difficult, man. It's challenging. You know, I watch, like you watched your parents. I watched my parents work hard.
Yeah.
And to bring it full circle to wrestling, like I was touring so much. I never got to go to a lot as indie wrestling took off. Like the only indie wrestling I knew growing, like when I was really grinding was ECW. And my goal was to get to Philly, to get to one of those fucking matches. And I didn't know what was happening in LA. I didn't know about all, you know, and it wasn't as big in LA. And so I missed PWG, and then I got in on the tail end of it thanks to my homeboy. And I was like, oh my God. And, you know, Kevin Steen was still doing his thing. And then after the match, to have him and El Generico come out and sell their merch and DVDs and shirts on the edge of the ring like me, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. These guys it's more finding more people like me. Like I took the Vince McMahon ideas and like incorporating, because I saw the merch booths when I would go to the Forum or the Sports Arena growing up. Like I saw that. But never like, you know, you wouldn't see Hogan come out and sign his merch. Like Kevin Steen, after a match, after he fucking rolled around, flipped off the fucking turnbuckle, took a fucking beer jug to the head, came out sweaty as stanky and sold me a Kevin fucking Steen shirt. You know what I mean? I bought an El Generico DVD from El Generico, and my dumb ass didn't know it was Sami Zayn until I was like, man, they said El Generico was going to the big show. What happened to him? He never. What happened? They're like, that's Sami Zayn. And I was like, oh my God. And then seeing Kevin Steen go from Kevin Steen to Kevin Owens, and seeing Excalibur go from, and I'm like, that's, like you said, inspiration. Like I'm already made it, and I still took inspiration from that. Like, oh shit, like this is dope. And like you said, wrestling fans are amazing because they give the indie wrestlers just as much respect. And what I love about them is in the middle of your match, you could get, you fucked up. And then they're over it. You're still one of the greatest.
We talked about the wrestling fans and how much you appreciate them, but how do you feel about your hip hop fans, man? Because, you know, they're very loyal as well, and they've been down with you for some time. So how do you feel about your hip hop fans?
Man, it's a weird feeling. Like I feel like I have some, and I used to not talk about it, but I talk about it now. Like there's some of my fans who are fucking awesome, and it's usually like my core fans. And then there's other fans who are fans of the scene. Like they only want to see me when I rap with white people. You know, and I didn't know that, like, I am one of the few rappers that raps with as many white people as I do. And I think that's why my community, like the black community, has rejected me so firmly. They gravitate towards the MURS and Ninth Wonder because it's 2 black guys. But we were one of the first groups in the history of rap to be like, no, the white guy's on stage with us. Yeah, you had Vanilla Ice and he was white. You had Third Base and they were all white together with a black DJ. You know what I mean? But we were one of the first groups to have 2 white guys and we're rapping with them. You know what I mean? And we saw black people, the more we put them in the group, we saw them fall back. So it's been, you know, and now it's a tables turn. Like, oh, like people seem like, oh, when are you rapping with Atmosphere again? Oh, when are you gonna do something with Groucho Neal? I'm like, fuck, man. Like, it's the irony. Like, you never ask me when I'm rapping with a black person again, and you don't think that there's a problem. And I know you don't think it because a lot of people in our scene think they're so woke and they're so liberal. And I was like, you guys are just as bad as your fucking right-wing cousins. You just don't understand how. And so I'm just tired of dealing with it. But what I will say is that more than my community, as far as skin color goes, and my neighbor helped me out a lot. He's a Chicano dude, and him and his wife are both Chicanos, and they're teachers, and they're great. And he's like, bro, like, I'm not American and I'm not really Mexican. I'm Californian. Like, there's a difference. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get it when I first started traveling to Europe. I felt like I didn't see a lot of black people, and I thought that's why I felt off, and it was part of it. But being from Los Angeles, like, I can't go somewhere where there's no Chicano influence, where there's no Mexican culture. Like, it doesn't feel right to me. And those are my core fans. Like, the people who love LA are all my Chicano, my El Salvadorian fans, my Latin American, Californian fans. Or like Chicago, there's a large percentage of Chicanos and Latinos in Chicago. And so when I do a show in Chicago, they come out. And I don't know what is it. And I think the Southern black people and Mexican and South American and Central American people have a lot in common. We're very hardworking people who are really into Jesus, and that's your parents. You know what I mean? And that's my mom and my grandfather, and they busted their ass. And a lot of Black Americans or regular Americans don't have that experience. If you're a first generation immigrant from anywhere, you probably identify with my music because all I rap about is hustle, and I worked hard. Like, I have one of these, like, I work hard. My parents
lived in South Central when they first came out to, like, my mom lived in New York in the Bronx for a little bit when she was like 13, 14, 15. And then she finally came to, when she married my father, because they came still from Nicaragua together. They ended up in South Central too for, I don't know how many years. They lived there for a little bit. I forget what high school my dad went to. He went to high school in South Central, LA.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, like that changed. Like, South Central isn't an all black community anymore. And
a lot of Latinos, a lot of Central Americans, I feel like a lot of Salvadoreños, like, just, there's a mix,
It's a huge, I didn't know the difference between, like, Mexicans and El Salvadorians until, like, I worked at the cleaners, and, like,
and they get offended.
I was.
Yo no soy mexicana, okay?
But I didn't say anything. Like, I would just clean the clothes. I was in love with like Latino girls, and I thought they were all Mexican girls, like cholas. Like, I was like, they would come in and bring their dickies and their tube tops. I would smell them, like, be such a pervert. Like, oh, she's so fine and blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
So you guys know now that MURS is going to be smelling your laundry when you bring it into South Central.
I may be selling it a little hard.
Don't bring your panties.
All right, no calzones, okay, please.
And then I would like to, I'm working the counter with other girls that are Mexican, and my homegirls that work at the cleaners with me, and they're like, "Oh, fuck that Salvi bitch." I'm like, "Whoa, what?" I'm like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And I'm like, "What?" And I was like, "There's a difference," because I'm just listening to Laekis, like, because everyone that works at the cleaners that's not a part of my family is Latino. So, like, because no one in our community was taking the jobs. My mom tried to hire black people. It was so hard to find black people that would work for the wage or whatever. So I ended up working.
We just, like, go and work no matter what. Like,
And so now another reason,
like, a job.
I've been working with Latinos my whole life. Like, so when my music starts drawing them in, I'm like, oh, maybe because the energy. But all we did was listen to Laekis and work the counter, and, like,
Laekis.
So I'm like, I'm looking at these girls, and so I'm learning the culture from there. And I put a little bit of Spanglish in some of my rhymes and whatever. And it's not contrived, like, being a part of a Californian, like, Mexican American, Central American, even some South American. There's a lot of Latino and Latinx energy in our city. The street names, the name of the city, the name of the fucking state, like, you can't deny it. And so those are my core fans, and those are the ones I will, lay down in front of a fucking truck for. You know what I mean? And the black people that really fuck with me, like, it's just, there's a vibe, you know what I mean? Like, the hardworking, someone put, like, all these rappers in a group, like the mainstream rappers, blah, blah, blah. And people call me backpack rap, emo rap, but Spin Magazine said, put me in a blue collar rap category. And I love that. Not that just I grew up with Crips, I like that, but also I love, like, that's my thing. Like, I get to the merch booth, my parents and my mom, everybody that knows Pay Dues, I had a festival, and they watched me grow it from 5,000 people to 35,000 people over 8 years, But my parents, no matter how big it got, and at the very beginning, my parents, my mom and my stepdad were at the merch booth. Like, because that's the kind of family we are. Like, there's no way that they're not going to sell my merch. They're not going to let me pay 10% of my money. They're going to work it. They're going to work it for free so that me and my family can keep all the money. Just like I work at the cleaners, you know what I mean? And my mom paid me pennies, you know what I mean? But it was for my family. And
that they did it though. This is why you are this way. Just it's you had such a foundational upbringing. Like you stick to it. Look at you making a full circle, always going back to the parents. That's also, I feel like, I don't know, I'm obviously Latina. I know that's like for Latinos, we're always like having each other's backs, so like no matter what it is. Like my mom, I swear, especially my mom. My dad is more like, he's chill. He's like, okay, I'll just do what your mom says. Like my mom, whatever it is, like if I call my mom, this is gonna sound horrible. Mom, oh my God, I just killed somebody. She's like, all right, okay, so all right, what are we doing? Okay, okay, where's the body? Like, okay, what had happened? Like, she's gonna try to find a way to help you bury this dead body somewhere. It's ridiculous to say that, but it's just like that's how much my parents have my back, especially my mom. And like no matter what, like even to this day, like I live out of state now, and my parents will still be here if I need to leave. Like I'm always like, all right, come, watching my kids. Like no matter what it is, like Brian doesn't want anyone to know this, but my mom will come over and go, what do you need me to do? She's like folding up his like underwear and cleaning up his, like my parents just, no matter what it is, whether they're folding my clothes or helping me bury the dead body or like in the stands while I'm graduating and making a whole party of it. Like my parents are just like, my parents have always been like that. So it's interesting to see your hustle like that, because it's like you have a mix of both worlds. It's kind of really cool. And I love that you respect the Latino community like that. It makes me really, really happy.
You're a Latino by association now, bro.
Yeah, you are. You're
so
good.
I always listen to the Yankees and all that.
You're invited to the carne asada. It's fine.
Thank you. Yeah, I try, man. Like, yeah, I think it's, just hardworking people with good families, white or black. But in California, those families tend to be Latino. Like, and
because there's so many of us here. That's why. I say here because I'm a Cali girl too. So so many of us.
You were so involved with the culture out here, whether it was blacks, Latinos, and we're all united, bro.
I'm down. I realized as I traveled, like if this was Europe, California would be England and New York would almost be Russia, or like, you know what I mean? And that's how different we are. But because America says we're all American and it's okay, but we have to acknowledge the difference. Like I'm from a whole nother culture. Even from Bay Area, it's a different culture. You know what I mean? And when I make music, it's so specific, and I didn't do it on purpose. I was just being me. And so it's found a very specific group of people. You know what I mean?
You've inspired, but you've been around that's inspired you. Like you just said, you were listening to Latin music as you're at the, at your, working with your parents and for your parents. So, I mean, yeah, you're going to be influenced by your surroundings, and your music speaks that way. Right. So it's like,
yeah, it just took me a while to like kind of figure it out.
Realize that was happening.
Yeah. And I appreciate everyone. Like whether you buy my music because you like atmosphere and the white guys I rap with, that's great. You know what I mean? I just can't cater to that anymore. Yeah. For a sound, like I would like cut certain parts out and like do certain things. And I'm 43 and I'm married and I got kids. I do a lot of compromising all day.
I do want to talk about Paid Dues, man, because you mentioned that earlier. And I know you were part of Paid Dues for quite some time. Your involvement with Paid Dues was so like memorable. The last festival took place in 2013. Any chance that we'll see Paid Dues again in the future?
Never again. No, I'm done. It took a lot of energy for me to put those on with my partners, Guerrilla Union. But for me, I had to come up with a lineup every year. Like I had to be alert. And it's kind of like, to bring it back to like wrestling or sports, like if you were scouting talent the whole time and playing on the team, it'd be rather difficult. So I was scouting like MySpace, you know what I'm saying? Like someone like, and I use this example and I'm sorry to be using his name all the time, but it's happened. Like Kendrick Lamar was somebody hit me up on MySpace. Like, check me out. I'm from Compton. I'm like, holy shit. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, this is amazing. Yeah. And then when it came time for me to have a festival, I was like, yo, you have a group now? Black Hippie, who are they? You know what I mean? And no one knew about Schoolboy Q, Ab Soul, J-Rock. And I was like, yo, here's some money. Come do my festival. And my partner was like, who is this? He's booking Wu-Tang Clan, the Snoop Dogg, and blah, blah. I'm like, we need Black Hippie. And he's like, who? I'm like, we need Mac Miller. Who? We need Odd Future. Who? And I'm like, just give him the money, because I was in tune and I was scouting all this talent. We need Nipsey Hussle. Oh, isn't he a Crip? And I'm like, calm down, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's gonna be okay. Trust me, these are gonna be people we want to build a relationship with because they're the future. Dom Kennedy, like Casey Veggies, like I'm giving him all these names. Curtis King, Noah James, like, and he's like, oh, okay. He trusted me, and I love that about my partner. But he was like, and then he saw, and he's like, holy shit. But it took a lot of effort away from my Grizzly. That was a new, that was a new grind. I grew this festival. We had a Shrine Auditorium where I didn't have enough. I couldn't afford to pay enough people. So I performed with 3 Melancholy Gypsies at the beginning. Like I jerked the curtain, then I mid-carded, and then I headlined with Felt. And then I hosted the whole thing. And so it was just like, I went from that at the Shrine Auditorium. We sold 5,000 tickets to every year selling more tickets. And it took my career. I sold more tickets and I sold less records. And it just went like this. Yeah. And it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't fulfilling at all. Rappers are some of the most ungrateful, entitled, narcissistic assholes, and their teams of people to deal with. We are some of the worst people in the world. So I would never, ever do it again. Kids think that just because you have a song on Spotify and SoundCloud, you're a rapper. And I'm like, no, you had to go to open mics. You got to pay your dues. So we put on an open mic in these cities. Like, right, we do Fort Collins, Colorado, and Springdale, Arkansas right now. Northwest Arkansas, really crazy, and Fort Collins, Colorado, small towns. And we host these open mics and kids come out. And I'm like, now you got to get up and you can get booed and blah, blah, blah. And then the next day I do office hours like a professor. And I just from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. sit with rappers every 30 minutes and like give them the game on whatever question you got. Because like I said, I've been on Warner Brothers. I've thrown my own festival. I've sold my own tapes. I've made my own t-shirts. I made a magazine. I made a website. I was one of the first rappers on Twitch 6 years ago. Like I've done anything you could do in rap. I wrote for Porky Pig. I did a fucking Olympics commercial. I made my own movies. I've fucking done everything. Ask me and I'll tell you. And these big, like these angel investors that make these programs possible. And that's what I like better than paid dues. I like paid dues is a way for me to give back. Nobody said here. So I wanted to give that platform with paid dues, and a lot of people took advantage of it. And now I want to go to a level even lower and like just work with kids who may not, because I want to teach it like they teach the violin. Like every kid that learns the violin doesn't go on to be a professional violinist, but that determination, that hard work, that skill, like that's what I'm. So I'm like, yo, you leave these sessions with me, you'll be better at public speaking, you'll be more self-confident, you'll be more self-aware, and you'll have a skill that you developed. And it's a writing skill, you know what I mean? Because I always tell rappers, you can't write. These kids, I tell them, you can't write if you're not reading, period. How are you going to be a fucking rapper with a lot to say when you're not reading or at least listening to audiobooks or learning?
I agree.
So that's what I'm doing instead of paid dues. That energy, it's always in me to try to help. And that's the way it's manifesting now.
Oh, yeah. And you definitely helped a lot of people, man. You mentioned the Kendrick Lamars, the Nipsey Hussles. I even want to shout out Reverie, because she's also another artist that I know you're very close to. And she was coming up during the time that I was actually exiting from my hip hop career, man. So you basically continue to help children today. And it says a lot about you.
I've paid more rappers than any other rapper. You know what I mean? Like, everyone I've ever asked to do something, for the most part, I pay. Like, there's a new group coming out of East LA called East of the River. They're great kids, you know what I'm saying? Like all Latino, like Latinx, like group of, there's some girls, they're so dope, you know what I mean? And I've asked them to do shows with me and they're like, oh, we're fans. And I could have been like, yeah, just do it for free. But I'll give Reverie same way. Like, I've always tried to pay her for her time, even though she's a huge fan. And, she has lyrics of mine tattooed on her. I'm sure I could be like, yo, just do this. And she'd be like, of course, but I love helping out the next generation. And for me too, and I don't want to pander. I mean, I just feel like, as you know, in LA, like most of the crowds are Latinos, like, you know what I mean? And so to me, it's like, oh, like, how long is it going to take? Like, how long did it take WWE to see like, oh, get behind Eddie Guerrero? And then between Eddie Guerrero and Andrade, there was fucking forever. I'm like, do you see the fucking crowd? Like, give these people some fucking representation. And that's how I was with paid dues. I was like, if you were like Reverie or anyone knew Tumex is the only artist to be on every paid dues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
shout out to Tumex.
Like, I want to involve more people from the Latinx community in these hip hop shows, because if you look at the crowd, that's all there is. And it's like, as Black people, we didn't like that when white people did that to us. It's like, we got to keep evolving. You know what I mean? And so I would love to see Reverie get a fucking Grammy and and run this scene and run the LA scene, because people who look like her, and her herself was the most supportive. I know her because her first video that her dad filmed was her in a MURS shirt rapping about beating bitches up. That was the funniest thing. And someone sent it to me on MySpace, and I'm like, who's this little girl talking about I'll be fucking bitches up, I'll be beating bitches ass, and going like this in a MURS shirt. I was like, who's this little girl? And I finally met her. She was like 17. I was like, who filmed that video? She's like, my dad. And I'm like, well, I probably believe that you're really beating bitches up if your dad is the one filming it. You know what I mean? And as I got to learn Rev, I was like, oh shit. But she's grown and become such a businesswoman and not such a knucklehead. Like, I've seen her put away the streets and become an extremely successful businesswoman. Has her own clothing line, penthouse in downtown LA. She's fucking awesome.
She's definitely hustling, man. I've been trying to get her on the show. I know she's going on tour soon, so I haven't had the chance to get her on yet. Yeah. But eventually, that's the plan, man.
Yeah, I need to see her. I need to listen to her and Melissa talk. That'd be dope.
Yeah, that's the reason why I kind of wanted both of them to kind of come on, and talk. But that'll be an interesting conversation for sure. But MURS, I also want to talk about, you mentioned earlier the Twitch thing too, man. So you set a Guinness World Record for rapping for 24 hours nonstop, man, during a live stream on Twitch. What was that like?
Oh man, it was harder than I thought. I thought I was losing my voice. I thought I might get tired, hungry, but it was mostly my neck from doing this for fucking 26 hours. Because with Guinness, you have to take a 5-minute break every hour when you set a marathon record. It's part of the laws. You can do 3 hours and take 15 minutes. You could do 2 hours and take 10 minutes, 1 hour, take 5 minutes. So I did 3 hours rapping, 15-minute break where I got a massage. It was sponsored. It was one of those campaigns like Boost Mobile came in and said, create a campaign for us around unlimited minutes. So I was like, cool. We created a TV show, and I still miss Arsenio Hall, and that may be something I do later. So for Boost Mobile, it's like, we want to stream the show, film it all on our phones. And so they provided a studio and then helped me book the talent. So we had like YG, DJ Quig, Dog Pound. We had Reverie. We had my homie Verbs. We had a live band, and then Damon Dash. And I would like interview you, and then you would go over and rap. And then, like Arsenio used to be, it was kind of dope. And then at the end, they're like, we want to kick it off with something. I was like, you guys should have somebody rap for 24 hours. That's unlimited. You get it, and then set the Guinness World Record. And they're like, oh, the budget only has this much left. How about you do it? And I'm like, fuck you guys. And I was like, cool, I'll do it. I'll take the rest of the money that's left in the budget, and I'll fucking do it. And it was fun, man. They let me do covers. So I did 3 hours, of my music. Then I did 3 hours of West Coast rappers. And I did 3 hours of Tribe Called Quest. And I did 3 hours of Wu-Tang. But you could never stop rapping for more than, I think it's 8 seconds. So, we did it live on Twitch, and it was amazing, man. It was fun.
Yeah. So did you get a break? Did you get a break to go to the restroom and all that too?
Yeah, that's so you bank 5 minutes every hour. So
but what if you got to take a dump or something, man? And you take longer than 5 minutes.
That's why I gave myself 15 minutes. So I'd rap for 3 hours and get 15 minutes.
You probably couldn't even really shit.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I couldn't shit. I couldn't eat.
Wow.
It's like mostly. I forget. I follow her on Instagram. I can't think of her name. Lisa Marie was my masseuse. They hired a masseuse, and she was the one that got me.
Wait, Lisa Marie Varon, like Victoria?
No.
Okay. I was about to say what?
That's what I meant. I was like, wait, who? What?
No. Let me see. I don't know if she wants me to put her.
Brains went automatically.
I was thinking Victoria, the legend, the diva.
No, Lisa Marie Adeguin. She was. I think that was her. I might be messing up, but she gave me a massage like on my neck, and that was the key to doing it, man. But they, like, when you bank those hours, they don't tell you that you end up rapping for 26 hours because you still have to stay awake. So it's you're setting a 24-hour record, but you have to take 2 hours worth of breaks. So it's 26 hours. And like there was a time where the power went out, the music went down, and I just had to freestyle and snap my fingers while they try to fix it until they fixed it. Because if I stopped rapping for 8 seconds, I would have lost the record.
Oh my gosh!
And then I did all of that for Red Bull to do the same thing with some rapper. 3 weeks later, take the whole idea in Spain.
Man, come on.
He did 26 hours and 30 minutes and whatever the fuck.
Let me ask you, what were the last like moments like that? Like maybe the last couple hours, like leading into finalizing this Guinness World Record, like.
Man, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was. Like, you know, because you get your juice, you know what I mean? I'm like, it wasn't as tiring as I thought. It was cool. Like, I love rapping. You know what I mean? That's why, like, you want to write for Porky Pig? You want to do an Olympics commercial? Do I get to rap? Yes. I'm like, cool. So it wasn't as hard as I thought. I mean, only thing I was thinking about was like my wife was pregnant with our first child at the time. And I was thinking about being with her, and the Dodgers were in the fucking playoffs. And I was like, who's winning? I need to get to see the Dodgers, and I want to lay down with my wife. That's like mostly that was it. Other than that, it was I trained on Twitch. Like, you know, I trained for it like anything else. So I did 2-hour streams, I did 4-hour streams, I did 8 hours, I did a 16-hour one. So I knew what it was gonna be.
Crazy, man. It's like training for a marathon, but like a rap marathon. You're like, all right, cool. I got this. Like,
yeah.
And not knowing, right? Like you obviously didn't know that you were going to end up doing something like that. So inadvertently, somehow you were just like ready for this, like ready to do.
Yeah, I had 2 months to prepare, but luckily I'd been streaming on Twitch, and they kept saying, we're going to do Facebook Live. I was like, there's this new thing. I was like, I've been doing Twitch for about 2 years. You might want to just, they're like, fine, you can do it on your Twitch and we'll do it on our Facebook. I was like, cool. And then halfway through, they're like, oh, Twitch. Because Snoop Dogg was watching, Wiz Khalifa was retweeting it. Like all my homies came out and like, yo, you see MURS, like Royce the 5'9", like all the homies from like, so it was dope. And I didn't get to see all that because I couldn't watch the chat. Like I had lyrics up on the screen. Like I was in the zone. And when I came out there, like Rolling Stone said it was great, and Snoop Dogg said what's up, and I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, where's my wife? All right, bye. Where's the Dodger game? And like got to a hotel and like ate something and passed out. But I, you know, and that's the thing too, is like I still had to drive to, like I didn't collapse. Like I had to drive to the hotel, check in a hotel, eat some dinner, shower, and then I slept. So I was probably like a good 32 hours I was awake. They wanted to take pictures. They threw confetti that stuck in my dreads for about a year. I was still pulling out confetti out of my hair.
Congratulations to you for accomplishing that. And looking back now, you could probably say, man, like that was a really rough day as far as like, you know, trying to hang in there for 24 hours, but you did it.
This podcast is to inspire people. And I heard Bill Burr, who I really like, on his podcast, or he does some fucking self-help thing on Epix TV or something with some guy, white guy that's famous from YouTube. I don't know. He interviewed Bill Burr for like Secrets to Life. And Bill Burr's like, the best thing is like, no, it isn't. Always tell yourself no, because you create this whole, especially creative minds, and a lot of writers and rappers and artists, whether you're a wrestler, anything you do creative, your mind is a motherfucker. It'll create these scenarios and like, no, it won't. Like I think it was no, it won't. Like, no, it won't. No, it isn't. Like, this is going to happen. No, it isn't. Most likely 99.9% of the time, no, it isn't. Even if it's, you know, a pandemic and a deadly virus, is it going to kill you and your family? Probably not. No, if you do what you're supposed to do. And that's why I like, okay, at first I was like, oh shit, Boost Mobile, they gave me all this money for this campaign and we did these 6 shows. They were great. Now I got to write for 24 hours. What if I fuck up at the last minute and I only make 23? Fuck, you know? Yeah. And that was the biggest hurdle was what I thought would happen that never did happen. What if I lose my voice and I had this special juice that I was going to drink when my voice started getting weak, and my voice never got weak? You know what I mean? I practiced, so I knew to have a masseuse. If I didn't have that masseuse, I probably would have quit from the literal pain in my neck. But since I practiced, like if you practice and you take the necessary steps and you're prepared, stop gassing yourself. You're going to make it. Everything isn't, no, it won't. Just tell yourself, no, it won't. And if it does, so fucking what? You went out in a blaze of glory. But 99.9% of the time, no, it isn't going to happen. No, it won't happen. And I love that. Like,
I do. Yeah, that's a really good way.
That was the hardest thing, is like getting over myself. I had all these like plan B, and what if my wife goes into labor, and what if I'm like, shut up. Just do the work that you were born to do, what you committed to do, what you've trained to do, and you're prepared for anything.
Like I always say, it's fine. It's fine. Because I feel like creative types do it a lot. Like I think Irvin can agree. Like it's just like, oh, but what? No, it's fine. It's gonna be fine. Whatever it is, like you're fine because you're ready. Like, so just as long as you're prepared, get out of your head, like just stop. And we do that. Like I don't know, like, and it's always ourselves. Like what's getting in my way of getting what I want? It's usually just me. It's nothing else. Something can happen.
Yeah. I think sometimes we just overthink things, you know what I'm saying? And we just kind of, we just have to do us and just trust the process, you know?
I love that.
Stop thinking and get to work. Like get to training, get to sending out those emails, whatever it is you're scared to do, get to doing it or get to practicing doing it so that when you do it, it's just muscle memory.
You're right. Artists need to know that whatever it is that they're doing, that it's going to be fine because they're good enough to be there.
What do you got going on at the moment? Any upcoming projects, any upcoming events? I know you've got an event at the Music Box. Is that true?
Yeah,
August 28th. August 28th, the Music Box.
Shout out to Fresh Yard. They're a record label, clothing store, and a coffee shop. One of those guys that's on his Grizzly, his name is Qua. He started producing tapes for Aesop of the Living Legends, and then we lost touch. And I saw him again in San Diego. I was like, "What's up, bro?" He's like, "I got a store now." I was like, "Cool." He had like a clothing store, which, you know, I've had a record store, a clothing store, so I wasn't that impressed. And he's like, "Oh, come next door." And he had this huge fucking warehouse where he sold shit to motherfuckers that want to grow weed. Everyone was trying to get a dispensary, and my homie Qua was like, "These motherfuckers are gonna need to buy soil and lamps. I'll supply that." And he's a kid like me that used to hustle weed and like all this shit back in the day. I don't know. I think Qua used to do a little weed, like we were just hustling as kids when it was illegal. And it was so good to see a person of color, he's Vietnamese, someone of color in a position where like, oh, I'm not just begging for a dispensary. Fuck that. Like, you want to grow this shit? I got the soil. And he's booming. And now he's started a record label and still brought the money back to hip hop culture. He's opened up his own coffee shop, and him and his wife are doing amazing things. So this is they've been pushing this record release party back. They have this amazing producer named Ser Veterano, who's I think he's from Oceanside or San Diego, because that's where it's going to be. And so it's me, Mitchie Slick, Planet Asia, MC8, Bishop Lamont, Fashion, my homie from Fresno. I think that might be. I'm sorry if I forget anyone. We're all on the compilation they put out on Fresh Art Records, which is out. It's been out for 2 years. We're supposed to fucking have the release party. It's gonna be a great time. A lot of great MCs from the West Coast and East Coast. No, everybody's from the West Coast. Shit, sorry. And yeah, come out to that. The Music Box. I got a beer coming out soon with New World Ales called 86 Kickflip.
Ooh.
And then after that, we got a beer coming out with Aero Lodge and Covina. I don't know what we're gonna call. I think that's called Goat's Milk. So I'm gonna do a few beers, so like around songs on my new album, Love and Rockets 2, which is available at MURSRaps.com for free or on vinyl or CD if you want to pay. But during the pandemic, we just decided, like some people in my camp were like, "Don't put out an album, just wait." And I was like, people need music right now. So we made it free. I got a video called MURS and Retrograde out now, and hopefully a tour this fall if shit doesn't shut back down. Because that was the worst thing. And back to wrestling, like did Scorpio Sky's podcast, and I had to thank him, and you can thank Brian for me. Like, them doing that was helpful for so many people. The fact that AEW continued, and it was high risk. It was at a time where shit, motherfuckers could have got sick. They could have got their, significant other sick. They could have got children sick, but they put on a show for us at a time where I was losing my shit. I lost my job. Like, for 20 something years, I've been self-employed touring the world. Like, I'm a touring musician. I'm not a radio rapper. I'm not a fucking platinum artist. I need to go out and sell records to make 75%. I mean, sell tickets to do 75% of my income. And I woke up one day and that was gone. Gone for almost 2 years. Yeah. So, it was tough, man. So I'm so happy. Like, I forget that I have shows now. I'm so used to every day I'm on Twitch 4 to 6 freestyling for 2 hours, Monday through Saturday. Then I'm doing my Patreon and I'm doing all these other hustles. And I'm like, oh shit, shows are back. Oh fuck. Okay, I gotta promote these shows. Yeah. And it's good to be back, but it's good to be in front of people. And it was good, to see people performing still. Like, that AEW gave me hope. The fact that they were putting on shows for people, and they were the first to start letting people back in, and as a live performer, I'm looking at them like, this is the
risk taking, right? Because being the first people to do that, it's easy to go ahead and like be excited, but then go ahead and then turn around and go, see, look, everyone's getting sick. We told you not, kind of not to do it. And I feel like everyone wanted to do it, but they went ahead and went, okay, let's just be the first, right?
I don't think they get enough props. Like, even in wrestling, they don't get enough props.
Yeah.
And in motherfucking live music, period. Like I said, I'm the weirdo that watches wrestling, but like I said, it's so much part of every entertainment industry. It is, to me, the pinnacle. It combines sports, music, and everything into one thing. Yeah. Sports, music, dance, whatever you think it is. It's the camera work is great. The writing, the script writing is like fun. The merchandise is every element. So watching AEW climb back gave me confidence. Like, okay, I'm going to get my job back soon. I'm glad to be touring. I'm glad wrestling's back. And I don't know how long it's going to last.
I know it's looking crazy again.
Even me, like I bought tickets to All Out, and now I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna go in. I don't know if I want to be inside with that many people. You know what I mean? Like I want to go to All Out. I want to but I'm like, I might just give my ticket to my brave friends because I'm freaking out.
Is it going to be in an open audit, like an open?
No, it's in
Chicago, right?
Chicago, and I forgot it's a new name to it. Some kind of pavilion.
Man,
it's indoors for sure.
And I'm hearing some rumors, man. I heard we might get CM Punk or Danny O'Brien. That's going to be major if that happens. If they did sign those guys.
Yeah, I missed the whole CM Punk era because I was touring, so I don't even know why he's a big deal. But I think he is. I know in Chicago he's a big deal. But he's been every time it's in Chicago, I think like, oh, we're gonna get this guy. Even Daniel Bryan, I missed that era. Like
they consider them the indie darlings, right? Those are the guys that everybody loved to watch. And when they got to WWE, I mean, they fought hard to get pushed.
So I guess I didn't miss CM Punk's stick, but I feel him. Like I guess that's why he resonated. And then Daniel Bryan, I caught on. Like I'm just a positive person. I try to be. Not all the time, but the yes thing. Like I was at the fucking Louisiana Mania for that, and it was amazing. Like the electricity in there, I couldn't deny it.
This is the Grizzly Podcast, and the show represents everybody that's constantly on the grind, on their hustle. You're somebody that embodies that. If you were to offer anybody any inspiration right now, just some words, just to kind of get them going, anybody chasing their goal, pursuing their dreams, what would you say to them?
I always tell people, like, if you never quit, you never lose. You know what I mean? If you die trying, then your next record could have been a platinum record. You didn't have enough time. But if you quit before you get to the end, you'll never know what could happen. You don't exist until you take it out of your head and put it into the world. So many people record and don't put it out, or record now and put into this vacuum called SoundCloud or streaming, but you never, get over that hump. And it's whether it's the people around you. Start wherever you can. You got to start. Starting is the hardest part. Getting over yourself and starting. So if you're not doing it today, do it tomorrow. But make sure you set a deadline and like on this day, I'm jumping on the count of 3. You know what I mean? Just jump. Take the jump. That was the best thing I ever did. Start. I sucked when I started, and that's a part of the reason for as long as they don't sue me for sample clearance, I leave all for real from 1997 is streaming everywhere. It fucking sucks. It starts with the fucking homophobic slur, and I'm a guy that in 2011 I did a video about LGBTQIA plus rights, and I kissed a man in a video, which I've been exiled from some circles just to make a point. But it shows I leave that song out there to show my growth. Like you can change your mind. You can learn. The more I traveled, I was like, oh, it's not, that word is not okay. And this is not okay. And this, and people in my family. So you can see my growth, but you also see that I sucked at rapping. There's horrible raps right there. And now I write commercials and I get paid thousands of dollars to write for people because I can do this. But I wasn't all together. So go back. If you need any inspiration, if you're a rapper, go back and listen to that album because it's streaming and it hurts me that it's out there. It is awful. And you are awful too. And that's okay to be awful. But people bought that record and paid money. There are people who love that album and still ask me to perform songs from that. You're not as bad as you think you are. There's a rump for every stump. That's what my mother told me. And I truly believe it.
I like that. There's always going to be a first time. You just have to do it. And the first time is going to be a little wobbly.
As long as you stay on your grizzly and on your grind, you're going to be doing big things like you are. And look at you. You're doing all the things that I know that a lot of people watching right now are hoping and dreaming that they can do one day, right? So, yeah, you're making it tangible for them. So you guys need to listen. If you really want to be, successful, you have to be okay with sucking, no matter what it is you're doing. So
with that being said, make sure you guys check out MURS and all his music. All his music is available right now on all digital platforms. Make sure you guys check him out on social media. MURS, where can they check you out if they want to follow you on social media?
Twitch.tv/MURS, MURS316 on IG. MURS on Twitter. That's where I definitely talk about wrestling and all my unpopular takes, like how tag team champions should never be considered great world champions. They're only posed to hold up the company in transition. That said, yeah, I think that's it. I don't know. I'm not on the Snapchat. I'm too old for that. I'm on the TikTok as MURS, and I rap on TikTok from now or every now and then.
Well said. There you go, man. MURS, thank you again for being a part of the Grizzly Podcast. We're looking forward to everything going on in your life, your career. Make sure you guys check him out. August 28th, San Diego, the Music Box. Stay blessed, brother.
Peace, Melissa. Peace, Irvin. Thank you. Feel better, Skylar.
Get it, pop. Let's get it.
Yo, that's what I'm talking about.
Hi, and welcome to Trademark Expediters. Whether you need a trademark or copyright, we can help make the process easy and affordable. Protect your company name, logo, or slogan with the trademark. Protect your songs, books, photographs, and other creative works with a copyright. Complete our easy online questionnaire in 15 minutes or less. Clear pricing, no hidden fees. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Get started today. Learn more at trademarkexpediters.com or call one of our friendly specialists at 1-800-510-1082. Affordable, easy, expedited service. Trademark Expediters.
Yo, turn it up.
Hard work, dedication, and progress. Stay on your Grizzly.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out another Grizzly Podcast episode. We'll see you next time.